put out this e-blast talking about my new project, and I threw around a lot of words for the sound of this madness of what I'm doing, and threw around words like punkabilly, which is rockabilly and punk mixed together, and I'm always amazed at how surprised people are that I have different tastes in music. My full name is Paisley Joshua Spurs Yankolovich, and the Spurs part came from my affinity for country music. Now, everyone knows I'm a rocker, but I don't like all rock music. I don't admit to liking Journey. I did not really like Nirvana, no offense Nirvana fans. You know, I like what I like, and same way with dance music. Everyone knows me, knows I love this stuff, but I don't get Janet Jackson. I can't figure out what the song structures are. Nothing against Janet Jackson. I love Janet Jackson. I just don't get her music. Not for me. I get Lady Gaga's. I won't go any further. But I read today that her record sales were slipping. Yay! And since we're bagging on people, Garth Brooks got bagged on when he did the Kiss tribute record, which was appropriately called Kiss My Ass. And he sang Hard Luck Woman, which was a country song that Kiss had recorded in the 70s. And people were like, what do you think I do? I live in a bubble? Kiss was like one of my favorite bands growing up. You know, Garth Brooks. I'm not going to bag on Garth Brooks. I'm going to bag on Trace Atkins. I'm going to bag on Trace Atkins. His house burned down. Woohoo! Thrilled. Gosh, forgive me if I do a little jig over that one. I'm a vindictive bitch tonight. Mm-hmm. Are you kidding? You're going to be on the receiving end of my Trace Atkins in about 2 seconds.
I shut it off.
Turn your damn phones off. We'll take the batteries out. Don't tell us you turned off your phone. Take your damn batteries out. My gosh, if you don't know how to turn it off, we'll turn it off for you permanently. Yeah, Trace Atkins' house burned down, and forgive me if I do a little jig. You know what? This is America. This is the land of the free. This is the land of free speech, and we're a Christian nation, goddammit. So we can say whatever we want if we have the mic. Now, I learned that from Trace Atkins. See, Trace Atkins, you could put a gun to my head, and I couldn't tell you one song this guy does. If I ran into him at Walmart, in the dumb section, I wouldn't even know what he looked like. So forgive me if I go off on my imaginary friend Trace Atkins for a moment. Or two. Here's what's going on for me. There's another country artist that I really admire. They're called the Dixie Chicks. I love the Dixie Chicks. And I guess this happened. I guess they said something really inappropriate about the President of the United States. And I guess that upsetted a lot of people, including Trace Atkins. Now, I'm sure Trace Atkins has never had the experience of saying something he regretted. I'm sure he's never had the experience of being put on the spot and saying something really stupid. And I'm sure he has never uttered anything in front of a live audience that he wished he hadn't. I'm sure that's never happened to him, because it only happens to every other performer. We will all say something stupid with a microphone stuck to our heads. I promise you. It is a fact. We will say something stupid at some point. Now tonight, but at some point. So here's what I'm thinking. I was doing it. I thought I'd turn this off and it's just moving. Oh, I'm still doing it. What?
Pull the plug.
Pull the plug on what?
Yeah.
Why would we do that?
Because it's still on.
Oh, still on because I didn't turn it off right.
There you go.
We're working with new equipment. See? I'm going to regret that. See, it's not coming from here. She's holding it. See? Still happened. Did you hear that? Okay, I blew it in. All right. Didn't see my hands move, did you? All right. So he bagged on the Dixie Chicks. He was one of the spearheads in the record burning parties for the Dixie Chicks. Because this is America. This is the land of the free. We can say whatever we want. And Dixie Chicks can't because they said something wrong. But he can say whatever he wants about them because he's right. And, you know, right is might and all that. See, this is the core of Christian thinking in America. The core of Christian thinking in America is this. There is no such thing as freedom of speech. There is no such thing as free will. If you do not look, act, and sound the way I want you to, if you do not think the way I think, if you don't speak the way I speak, if you don't believe what I believe, you will be shunned, you will be shut down, and I can say whatever I want about you because you're not a person anymore. My Bible says so. Hallelujah. Do you know how many times Jesus said, you don't do that because that's what the pagans do? If you, being evil, you know, wouldn't give your kid a stone, how much more your Father in heaven? He kept comparing good and evil. But he was referring to different levels of evil. There were the people that supposedly knew the right God. That's who he was preaching to. So he called them evil. But the rest of the people were broken up into two groups, the Gentiles and the pagans. See, there are layers of hell here, okay? And the pagans were meant to be the worst. So when he said things like, well, don't do that because that's what the pagans do, he was saying, you've really hit rock bottom here. You've really hit rock bottom. So tonight, I'm going to teach you something you're definitely going to need in this life. I'm going to teach you how to treat the pagans. Because this is America, damn it. Okay? And if you don't think the way I think, and you don't feel the way I feel, and you don't talk the way I talk, I can shut you down. I can turn America against you, and we're going to burn your records. I know this has been years since the Dixie Chicks. But when Trace Adkins was on his rampage, like a big old forest fire gone out of control, and I was spitting mad, my God said, well, you could act like the pagans, or you could pray for him. Because vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Now, I didn't even take that out of context. That's exactly what he said. He really said in his word, he really says in his word, when people tick you off and you want to turn on them and you want to pronounce judgment on them, try praying for them and put it in God's hands. Because if they deserve judgment, he'll make sure they get it. With me? So every once in a while, when, I don't know, someone who's a pain in the ass falls and breaks their tailbone, I find that amusing. That really happened to one of my enemies recently. Forgive me, but it's funny. I said exactly what happened. Well, when someone starts a media forest fire and one day their house burns down, forgive me if I see the irony of that. I know I'm being a vindictive bitch, but I mean well, so it's okay. Because this is America, and I have the mic, and I can say whatever I want, because God knows my heart, and what's bad about it, He's fixing. See, I've got this Christian thing down pat. Okay? I have heard over and over and over again scriptures used to allow the brethren to turn on one another. Scriptures that say, well, if your brother is even doing that stuff, don't even hang out with them. Don't have anything to do with them. It doesn't matter which church he was talking to at the time. It doesn't matter that the church, this is Paul talking, that the church was susceptible to temptation beyond belief because they'd come out of such a radical pagan culture that even the slightest influence from their culture would freak out the whole church and make them go completely crazy and out of control. But also, Paul was erring on the side of the weakest brother, because he is certainly not telling me to not hang out with sinners. He's not telling me that. And he's not telling me not to hang out with sinning brothers. He's not telling me that your stuff is going to rub off on me. Trust me, my stuff's going to rub off on you a lot worse. He's not telling me that, because I know the truth. And I rightly divide the Word of God. So I know what it says about just about everything, and everything I don't know off the top of my head, I know how to find out. And I know people who know, and I know people who know how to find out, and I care. But, oh my gosh, nothing's the same. Oh, I forgot to set it up. That was not you, that was me. Am I really going to be able to read this? We'll find out. Because Jesus said exactly what to do with sinners. Now, we're not on the pagans yet. We're not on the pagans. Just on the sinners. If your brother sins against you, shun him. Reject him. Dump his ass. Have nothing to do with him. Refuse to take his phone calls. No. Go and show him his fault. Make sure everybody knows about it. Before you go and show him his fault, make sure you run around and tell everybody. Oh, if your brother sins against you, go and show him his fault just between the two of you. Oh, privately? Huh, that's a novel idea. I guess when Mr. Atkins held that press conference, he thought only the Dixie Chicks were going to hear it. That's just me. If he listens to you, you have won your brother over. Isn't that nice? You go to someone private and you tell them what's bugging you, and they listen, you hug, you pray. He returns the lawnmower and everybody happy. Right? But if he will not listen, hold a press conference, get the village out with their torches, because it's time to chase someone. No, we're not there yet. Right? That happens later. That happens in the next Bible. But if you will not listen, take one or two others along, so that every matter may be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. So this practice dates all the way back into the Old Testament, and it's also how we decide if something in the Bible is in the Bible, or if something in the Bible is actually doctrine. As if it's established over 2 or 3 times in the Bible, we have to start listening to it as doctrine. If it just pops up once, maybe twice, it's kind of like important enough to be in the Bible, but we can't build our church on it. But the purpose of bringing a couple others with you is so they can hold him down while you pummel him. Right? No. So they can see both sides. My gosh, you can see when someone's squirming.